Okay, good morning students.
Good morning, sir.
Today, the next about 10 or 12 minutes, I will talk about a very important aspect of SSB. And what I will talk about is how to eliminate nervousness when you go for your SSB interview. Short of that interview, when you feel nervous, how can you eliminate that? Okay, now you all know you will only get to be interviewed if you clear the stage 1 test called PPDT. Only if you go to stage 2 will you be interviewed, otherwise there will be no interview for you. Okay, now assuming that you will clear the stage 1 test and get into stage 2, which means on any one of the next 3 days you could be interviewed. So this is a very natural process for any individual, young or old, to feel a little nervous. If I were to go for an interview today, I would also feel a little nervous. The only difference is because of my age factor and the background that I come from, I may be a little nervous. A young boy or girl who is only 17, 18, 19, 20 or 22 years old may feel a little more nervous. But I suppose every human being would feel nervous, especially when you are appearing in a test where you are required to speak something, and more so when you are facing somebody who is very senior to you in hierarchy, and the president, the person who will conduct this interview, is obviously a very senior person. So when you face him, being a little anxious and a little nervous is absolutely normal. And this SSB interview is one such process which will generate a lot of anxiety and nervousness. Okay, now before I talk of the main part, some basics about that interview. You know, this is when you go for your SSB, 3 different assessors will assess you. One of these assessors is the president, the interviewing officer. Now, generally he is a senior officer. IO is the head. So obviously he will be a very senior person. He could be from the Army, Navy or Airforce, but a senior officer, right? And through the information given by the interviewee, that is you, the candidate, the assessor will judge the level of OLQs that you possess, the officer-like qualities, and according to your performance in the interview, he will gauge your suitability to become an officer in the defense services. Okay, now there is no time specified for that interview, but generally it takes about anything from 20 to 30 minutes. It could be more than that, it could be less than that. In some cases the interview may not even last 5 minutes. So it all depends on your performance. How do you present yourself in front of that interviewing officer, and how do you perform? And interviews, you all know, they held either in the afternoon or in the evening, according to the time given by the president as per his availability. Okay, now what is the purpose? You all know, purpose of that interview is to gauge your suitability to become an officer. And what does the president check in a candidate? What he checks is, these are the things. Number 1, your communication skills. How do you speak? How do you express your thoughts and ideas in verbal spoken English? This is a very important factor. And this factor becomes even more important because you would be a little nervous when you walk in. So your communication skills is one very good way of judging your suitability of becoming an officer, which the president does. Connected with this is your confidence level. If you are very nervous, you will not be confident. If you are only partially nervous or not nervous at all, you will be very confident. Okay, presence of mind. How does he check this? He checks this by asking tricky questions. Rapid fire questions. These indicate your presence of mind. Okay, number 4. Knowledge of national and international events. You live in a country. Are you aware of what is happening, major events which are happening in your country? That is your national information about national events. And those international events worldwide which have a bearing on our own country. So do you have any knowledge about that? Okay. Number 5, general knowledge, not current affairs, your general knowledge. He'll ask a few questions to test your general knowledge. For example, where is the Sentinel Island? What is unusual about it? Is there anybody who knows about it?
Yes,
This
sir.
is a general knowledge question. बताइए आप भाई साहब. Where is the Sentinel Island? It's an island part of India. So where is it and what is strange about it? Okay, so these are general knowledge questions, right? And last is your manners. How do you walk in? How do you sit down? How do you address him? How do you wish him? Your body language, all this is part of manners. Okay, now let's talk of the action points that will help eliminate nervousness and anxiety. Now these actions do not begin 5, 10, 15, 20 or 30 minutes before the interview. These action points must start now. If you begin to take action now, when you go for your SSB interview 20, 30, 40, 60 days from now, this point will get covered. It will get taken care of. Okay. Number 1, PIQ form. In that session on that PIQ form, I told you it is not just a piece of paper. It's a extremely important document that you would be submitting to the president. It contains very important information about you. The initial part of the interview, first 5-6 minutes, will be based on the information that you have given in the PIQ form. Right? And the purpose for that is to make you feel comfortable, to ease you down. Then he will begin to ask tricky and difficult questions. So as far as the PIQ form is concerned, you must make sure you fill it up carefully in legible handwriting, preferably in capital letters. Any cutting or overwriting or spelling mistake will create a very bad impression of you. Okay. Please provide accurate and factual details as per that format. If you have furnished actual details, your anxiety and nervousness will get reduced. You will only be nervous and anxious when you have filled in all at random incorrect information. Okay, don't leave any column blank. Okay, which are the grey areas? Generally, which are the grey areas which candidates leave out in the PIQ form? Details about your district and state. You do not know the population. If he asks questions about your district, what are the places to be seen? What are the problems in your districts? You are unable to answer because you are not aware of it. So you should be aware of all this. Participation in games and sports. He would definitely like to ask you questions. What games do you play? Do you indulge in take part in any sports? What hobbies? You can be 100% sure, 100% that he would definitely ask 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 questions on your hobbies. So please find out what your hobbies are, how do you indulge in those hobbies, and all the details pertaining to your hobbies you should be aware of and you should be able to answer. Number 4, family details. Details about your family, your father's job, profession, how much money does he earn, and what are the problems, job-related problems that your father, or if your mother is a working woman, then what problems does she face at her workplace, his or her workplace. So these details should be known to you because you will be asked questions on these. Okay, now the second point is, make a list of probable questions. There's a long list of questions, of which some questions generally the president will always ask. So you should have that list in your own time. Before you proceed for SSB, you should practice asking yourself those questions and answering them yourself. Right? This practice will help eliminate nervousness to a very large extent. Which are those questions? Just to give you a guideline, you can have a look at this. These are the frequently asked questions. Questions about your place, where you live, your state or district, What are the good things you like about that place? What are the bad things about that place? Okay. Details about your father's profession, income, likes, dislikes, habits, right? This is a question pertaining to your family. Okay. Problems about your state. How has your state progressed since the time you were born and today, 17 or 18 years later? Okay. Where would you prefer to stay? Settle down finally in a small village or town or in a big city, and why? See, please remember, in an interview, anything that you say, you would be asked questions, you could be grilled on that. So just merely saying I like my city is not enough. Why do you like it? You should be prepared to answer questions pertaining to that part. Okay. अभी देख लीजिए, these are the questions that you should be prepared to answer in case he asks them. And generally, there are about 30 or 35 questions that I have listed. All 35 will not be asked, but at least 3-4 out of these 30 questions would definitely be asked, would definitely be put to you. You should be able to answer them. If you are prepared, you will not be nervous. You will only be 1% nervous. Other candidates would be 50% nervous. So that means you have already stolen a mark, you have moved ahead of them. Okay. Update all information about yourself. You should know what are your hobbies. Why do you want to join the armed forces? You should have an answer for that. Okay. Personal appearance. It's a very important factor. It does play a major role. You must look presentable. You must have a haircut when you go for your SSB, and on the day of that interview, you must have a bath, and clothes. Your clothes need not be brand new. I'm not asking you to wear new clothes. They can be old, but at least they should be washed and ironed. If you're wearing leather shoes, they should be polished. Okay. पढ़ लीजिए बाकी का point number 3. Be alert to the world around you. This is what the newspaper will tell you. Being straightforward and honest in your replies is always good. You cannot fool that person. He is a very senior person, very professional, and there is no way, according to me, there is no way that a boy or a girl who is only 18 or 19 or 22 years old can fool him. It is impossible. I would rate it to be impossible. So the best policy is, do not try to fool him. If you do not know an answer, you must honestly tell him, sir, I am sorry, I do not know about it. Rather than trying to, pull a fast one and giving him false information, which in any case he'll know is incorrect. So don't try doing it. Okay, be cheerful. Only those brimming with self-confidence can make themselves cheerful. Now what is this point? You may be a little nervous from the inside, but at least through your face you must wear a smile, you must look confident, you must present yourself to be fully prepared for this interview or this dialogue with the President. Okay, speak. Speak loudly and clearly. This is a point I have been emphasizing from day one. If you speak very slowly, if he cannot hear you, this is a clear-cut indication that you lack confidence. And any candidate who is not confident, he cannot impress the President. That's impossible. So speak loudly, your voice should be clear, your voice has to be loud enough. Loud enough does not mean that you have to shout, but it should be loud enough for the President to be able to hear what you are speaking. You will be sitting a few feet away from him, as was shown in that picture, at least 8 to 10 feet away from him. So what is the reason for that? Look at this. Chaliye, so this is what I had to tell you. If you have any questions pertaining to this part of the session, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll go to the next part now. Any questions?
No, sir.
चलिए ठीक है, थैंक यू।